Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show, How We Grow. This is your essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business. With advice and insights from the best in the biz, I'm your host, Lynell Gordon.
Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show. I'm Lynell Gordon, your host, and I'm really excited today, guys. Justin Ford is back with us, and he's going to talk about just doing things right today. Now, if you don't know Justin, well, most people in the industry know him, but I'm going to introduce you anyway. He is a renowned expert in short-term rental safety, and he's the director of short-term rental safety and certification programs at Breezeway. He has an extensive background in safety and hospitality. He used to work for the Coast Guard, firefighter. He is like the real deal. He founded a company called Dwell Safe, and he's a frequent guest on all kinds of outlets. I am so privileged to have him today. Good Morning America. There's nobody more passionate about helping our industry and vacation rental managers than Justin. He's going to dive into what you should do before you get your house ready to have any guest inside it. Welcome to my show, Justin. Thank you so much.
That's a great intro, and I'm really excited to be here. I have not. This has been like one of those busy work weeks where I've been on the road for basically 2 months, so I've just been trying to catch up on emails. I haven't been able to talk about safety as much as I'd like to this week, so I'm glad to be here with you.
There's nobody I'd rather talk safety with than you, because I love your passion about it, and I love the fact that you just want people to do things right.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that.
Well, I have an addiction. It's not. Yes, I do like donuts. I think I won't keep trouble with sugar. We're not talking drugs or alcohol here. Sugar's my bad.
That's mine too. Caramel.
But I have an addiction, and it's developed over the past couple of years. People just reaching out, going, "Hey, I heard you on Lynell Gordon." I didn't realize we haven't checked our smoke alarms in like 2 years. I didn't even know they expired, and we changed them. And oh my gosh, we had a fire last night, and the only reason they went off was because we had just checked them. We didn't know. I used to get those stories like maybe twice a year, and now I get those stories. I'm not kidding you, like almost daily. And
wow.
I'm fearful that if I don't keep talking about this stuff and that I'll stop hearing those things, and I'm addicted to hearing it. I love it. That's what drives me.
Well, there are very few people that are driven by that. I'm going to tell you a story. I was talking with my broker about it, and I was like, well, I have a podcast later on this afternoon. So I was trying to get something and inadvertently, I mentioned when I said that, with Justin, it was the day I was doing it with you, or the day before, or something like that. And your name came up, and the guy's like, oh my gosh, will you send that to me when you're done? Will you send it? And I was like, okay, I'll send you a link, no problem. But he was so excited about listening to you. And then I got an email like a month ago, and it said, if you do the certification, Justin Ford certification, you can save 10% off of your premium. My premium is $21,800 and something dollars. That's no joke.
No, I hear it all the time, how expensive insurance is. But then on the other hand, I ask people, well, how many options are out there for you to find it? And they're like, well, yeah, there's only a couple of companies. I'm like, exactly. I've been in this industry since 97. You used to just go out and say, yeah, I'm insuring this place for rentals. And the insurer would go, okay, yeah, no problem. The reason that there aren't that many people or companies that are doing it, and it's so expensive, is not only all these wildfires and hurricanes and all that, but because there's so much risk and liability in this, not a lot of insurance carriers want to take it on.
So there are local companies that will do this type of insurance for less money. And you talk about these safety concerns because they're very real. Like you said, you're hearing about them all the time. Tell me some of the things that we need to do as property managers or property owners.
Well, first and foremost, if you don't believe any of that, if you're going, okay, maybe there once in a while, whatever, when you get done listening to us, get on your computer and Google as if you're a guest. Google saying I just got injured in my Airbnb, or Google that I just got injured in a vacation rental. There are not law firms all over America spending millions and millions, if not billions of dollars on advertising for over 1 million search results on this, unless it's a hot thing. So if you need convincing, that's it. Most of us who are operating properties to rent, we're focused on, where do I find a cleaner? Where do I get sheets? Where do I, get the right pool guy? We're not looking for what happens when I get injured in my rental property. And it's mind-blowing when you see how many people are out there that want your guests. They want them to sue you. And it's not good.
Let me ask you this for property managers, as opposed to, say, a Verbo owner.
Yeah.
For property managers, what are some of the things that they can do that you just regularly see don't get taken care of?
Well, a big one is vacuuming the smoke alarms. And people are like, I don't get this. It blows people's mind when I tell them this. And then they go back and do what I said. Just go look at your instruction manual for your smoke alarm. Well, why? I'm like, it's in there. It's been in there since 1976. All the smoke alarms, they say you have to vacuum them once a month. That's why they're inexpensive now. They used to cost hundreds of dollars in the 1970s. The reason they brought the price down is you got to maintain them. And then everybody just pulls the batteries out because they get dusty. They go off at 2 a.m. They don't work. And then the next thing you know, you're getting that phone call from the fire department going, hey, we've got a serious issue at your property. And by the way, you might want to call your lawyer because there's no working smoke alarms in your property. And you're like, what?
I think that most of the property managers that I know have programs where they change out the batteries.
Yep.
I've never heard a thing about vacuuming. This is the first time in my life I've ever heard about vacuuming a smoke alarm. And if it's the first time you've ever heard about vacuuming a smoke alarm, I have to tell you, I'm right there with you.
It's crazy. And a lot of companies are doing it now. Professionals are doing it. I'm a huge fan of a company that's growing fast across the U.S. called Well and Good. They're based out of Arizona. And all they do is cleaning for vacation rentals. And they do that. It's in their training now. And so, their cleaners, they've even sent me videos. They can clean and dust and vacuum a smoke alarm just as quick while they're going along the baseboards. And it's just part of the routine. So once you build that in, you have that there. But the shocking thing, Lynell, this is something I couldn't have talked to you about a year ago last time we were together. Since you and I have last talked, 4 homeowners in the United States that own Airbnbs or Verbos have been arrested and charged with negligent homicide because
gosh.
Yeah, it didn't work. It happened twice in the past 6 months from 2 separate fires in New York. Precedent set now. Your smoke alarms don't work in your rental property, you're going to jail. That's like mind-blowing. A year ago, if I said that, you go, yeah, sure, Justin. It's actually now happened. You can Google it. It's insane that can happen. And I guarantee you in both those situations, neither of those hosts or operators, it wasn't like they consciously went, hey, I don't want to put batteries in my smoke alarms. I'm going to leave them empty. They probably had no idea that a guest removed them because they burnt popcorn or because, they were dusty and they went off, and then they didn't check them because they looked at them at the beginning of the season. So why at the end? And now this has happened.
I use a professional monitoring service.
Yeah.
I have a smoke alarm that you can't turn off.
Yeah.
They will call the fire department. They'll call out to you. Yeah.
Those still have to be vacuumed once a year. Once a year, you got to have your alarm company out and do maintenance on those.
Okay, I need to write that down. See, I've got my notebook, guys. I don't know if you have your notebook in front of you. If not, you should take notes, because I always take notes during these interviews because there are things that I just don't know. So that alarm company needs to come service it once a year.
Yeah, they're going to come in with like some canned air and they're going to blow it. And again, your professionally monitored alarms are much more expensive. They're better. I mean, ultimately, that's the best way to go, is to have those professional alarms, but they're more expensive. They're more in the $150, $170 price point. So once a year maintenance versus the $30 ones you're getting at True Value, which require monthly.
Okay, well, that's scary. And what else are we seeing? What other kind of trends are you seeing in safety?
One of the other cool things that just came out, this is an amazing thing. It's really hard to demonstrate here, but you can go to their website. There's a new product out. It's called EyeDetect. And it's the very first residential flame detector. And you might think, oh, wait, what is he talking about? A flame detector? This just came out at the beginning of the year. They're about $175. So in most vacation rentals, you're going to have a fire that started, obviously, and smoke is produced, carbon monoxide is produced, and you're going to test for those. But you can't do that in your garage. And guess what? Hot thing going on now is everybody's bringing electric cars, drones, e-batteries, e-bikes,
Right.
these lithium battery products. But you can't put a smoke alarm or carbon monoxide alarm in your garage. They don't work. So
Right.
I'll make sure I'll drop to you the link so that listeners can take a look at this thing. I've just put this in my house. I've already heard of a save someone had down in South Carolina in a garage where some batteries being charged for an electric bike caught on fire and led to...
Can they be outside in the weather?
They can't be outside in the weather, but they're really cool. I've been playing around with the prototype one that came, and now I've got one also that I just got one in the mail that's actually consumer ready that anybody can buy. And I mean, you could detect if a kid's lighting a match in a bedroom. You could put one of these in all the kids' bedrooms in your rental properties, and it's going to send you a notification. If you got a notification allow that says the monitor in the kid's bedroom has detected a flame, I think you know we're not messing around. Something's not right. That's going on, or that there's a flame in your garage. So you're probably not going to put it in your kitchen because you never know when the guests are going to light a birthday candle, or, if you've got a gas range. But still, it's super cool to see these new products that are coming out that can help all of us, keep a much closer eye on our properties and make sure they're safe.
I didn't think about the batteries for cars. So what would you suggest for those of us who have, we're up on piers at the beach, and our plugs for those electric cars are downstairs. They're not in a garage. We have breakaway walls all underneath us. So what would you suggest for that?
Well, first and foremost, you got to accept it. I can't tell you how many hosts and managers I talk to. I always ask them, hey, do you guys have anybody with electric cars coming? Now, I know the answer is yes, but I'm always shocked when I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think so. It's like, yeah, you do. You do. And I'll point it out to them. I'm like, see that Ford Mach-E over there? That's an electric car. I'm like, that's an electric car. So the first thing you have to do is accept every single rental, you're going to have lithium batteries showing up in your property. And if you're parking cars underneath, and it's not that I have an electric car. It's not that electric cars catch on fire more. In fact, gas and diesel cars statistically are much more likely still to catch on fire than an electric car. It's the charging process. So by accepting that people are going to be bringing things into your property or under your property that could catch on fire during that charging process, you're going to make sure you've got the right electrical components in place. You've talked to an electrician. Do I have a 30 amp charge?
I had an electrician to install it. So these are installed by electricians.
That's what you want. But you don't want them showing up with their own extension cord because you didn't supply a place for it to do it. And now they're plugging it into an old outside outlet that's only 15 amp that, you intended to plug Christmas tree lights into, not a car.
And I've seen that before. I have seen electric cars who plug in, they brought their own extension cord. Everybody does, because if you have an electric car, of course you have one ready.
Yeah.
That's a really real thing. I mean, that's reality, what you're talking about.
It's so huge. Like New York is looking to ban them right now. They're looking to become the first state that says rental properties can't have any type of lithium batteries in them, which I don't know how they're going to enforce it. But think about this. If you own an electric bike at your home, you're using it at home, you're riding it around at home. But when you're going on vacation, now you're putting it on a rack on the back of your car, it's banging around. It's that damage that happens to the batteries that then leads to them catching a fire. They put out a hydrogen gas that's extremely explosive. And when you see these videos, you'll never let one in your rental property again. Hard to do that, but we just need to think about it. And the first way to do that is with having the right detection. And our industry is way behind on that.
Let's talk a little bit about making your kitchen safe for a vacation rental manager. So you can make a list of recommendations for your property managers. One of those that was made a couple of years ago that I love are the fire blankets that go in the kitchen. They hang them right on the kitchen door, like a cabinet. What other kinds of things would you suggest that we have other than a fire extinguisher?
Yeah, fire extinguisher is really important, but here's something you need to keep in mind. Only about 13% of your guests are actually ever going to use the fire extinguisher. So you need to make sure it's placed in a location where they actually are going to use it to increase that use. The challenge with fire blankets, and I like them, I understand how they work. The problem is the majority of Americans don't know anything about them. In fact, I was talking with the trust and safety team at one of the big OTAs. I'm not going to tell you which one. But they recently had a complaint that came in after a fire at a property that there weren't enough fire blankets for every guest that was there.
Oh my word.
Yeah, they thought the blankets are what you put on when you exit the house because there's a fire. And you only supplied one. So that really highlights that most Americans, especially in a rental situation, aren't going to go ripping and pulling that. So I lean still more towards the fire extinguisher. And the number one thing that every person who ever uses a fire extinguisher always says is, I wish it was bigger. So stop giving those little auto ones or the ones in the spray can that's like bug spray. You got to do the Home Pro. I'll make sure I'll give you a link to share. You want a 5-pounder there. The whole reason of a fire extinguisher isn't like, it's not going to necessarily save someone's life, but it's saving your property. So
makes a mess in the kitchen, I can tell you. We've had a fire in our kitchen.
I'd rather clean that up.
Me too.
I'm glad you brought up kitchens. Kitchens are the most likely place someone's going to get injured in the property, and not all of it's like you're responsible. I always refer back to the Outer Banks, and you look at some of the hospital records they have there. They get a lot of lacerations in the summer. And it's not because people are stabbing each other, but it's because all these knives and these vacation rental properties are dull and people cut themselves while they're having a couple of glasses of wine. And so you're not necessarily, as a host, necessarily responsible for that. But on the other hand, now you've got a guest with a bad memory. Remember the last time we stayed there, Tom cut his finger open. Yeah, let's not go stay there again. So you want to keep your knives nice and sharp. If you can't, then I like those knife blocks where every time you put the knife in it, it runs it through the sharpener and gives the blade a little bit of extra edge. So that's a big one to pay attention to. And the other one in the kitchen that's also always very important is making sure all your small appliances work, especially like those egg beaters. I see those all the time where they've been used so many times, and then the guest goes to make cookies or is whipping up egg whites, and the beater just falls out and spins and hits somebody. I know that sounds crazy, but I see those come through, and it's because that $19 Sunbeam, egg beater you bought in the 1980s, it's done. It can't take that beater into the socket anymore.
I cannot think of the last time I've used a mixer, but I'll have to check on my mixer to make sure it's up to snuff.
Well, this cold foam coffees are hot now, so everybody's beating up the cream or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. I have a machine for them to do that, so hopefully they won't use that. We keep very sharp knives. I replace my knives every year. I have two specific knives. One's a chef's knife and one's like a Japanese chef's knife. I like the ones that are shaped that way and the ones that are sharp. And I always put very sharp knives. You're right. Especially if you are advertising a gourmet kitchen, you should have sharp knives.
You've got an elite property. I mean, I know this is, and I see that. Trust me, I see a lot of people who have nice houses and are really offering these elite product like you are, but there's definitely still a lot out there that, they visit their property for 2 weeks a year and the rest of the time they just assume that everything's being taken care of.
Any other suggestions for properties that have like natural gas? They have gas stoves as opposed to electric stoves. Anything in particular you'd suggest there?
I'd really like to see all the gas connections checked on an annual basis. It's easy to do. You can even do it yourself if you want, a little soap and water, and you just go around to some of the connections, make sure it's not bubbling, but it's good to have the alarm companies do that. Certain states now, Maine was the first one, have explosive gas alarm requirements now. One of my favorite carbon monoxide alarms from Kitty actually is a combination explosive gas and carbon monoxide alarm. That way, if there is a gas leak, sometimes we see them like with kitchen ranges where people aren't familiar with them. The kids might turn the knob, and if it doesn't have a safety spark on it, it could actually, fill the house up with gas. So that it's really important, I think, if you do have gas, to monitor for it with an alarm.
Oh yeah, for sure. That for sure. What about hot tubs? What do we not know about hot tubs that we need to think about as property managers, keeping people safe?
Yeah. Believe it or not, hot tubs catch on fire. There was a fire in a hot tub in the Outer Banks recently. People sent me pictures of. I'm like, is that rental house on fire? They're like, no, the hot tub is. I'm like, oh yeah, wow. I did some research on that. I didn't realize there's 3,000 hot tub fires in America every year. Isn't that crazy? It's mice, squirrels, whatever get in behind where all that insulation is. They get in through the cracks and they build nests. Those electrical shorts, those pump motors wear out, all those different things. So that was number one, a reminder that you've got to really have someone who's certified going in and checking and inspecting your hot tubs on an annual basis. Some localities now require that. You want to make sure the emergency shutoff works. You want to make sure that the wiring is all correct. Nothing's, kind of started to have tattered, frayed wiring. And you also want to make sure that you have someone who's certified managing the chemicals. I was just at a rental outside of Asheville, North Carolina, and you should have heard, you probably thought it was a sonic boom, but it was me banging my fist down in shock. They had a sign in the package of chemicals, and it was telling the guests after each use to put a scoop of chlorine in. I'm like, oh my God, no. You've got to have someone who understands and is certified with chemical composition to maintain chemicals. I see listings all the time. People are showcasing on Facebook or whatever, and the hot tub's like all frothy water. Your water is not supposed to be frothy in your hot tub. It's supposed to be clear. If it's not being managed well. So stop using that as your listing photos too. I'm never going to rent a house if I see frothy water in your hot tub.
How We Grow has partnered with Lynell Gordon to bring the vacation rentals market custom protection products built for the needs of the vacation rental industry. Enjoy complete protection for both your travelers and your owners via the industry's leading travel, damage, and liability protection products. Learn more about the travel tech industry's most advanced travel and damage protection platform and API at rentalguardian.com.
I'm just so surprised because North Carolina has such strict laws about hot tubs and what we have to do because of the Legionnaires disease that was years ago that happened in the Outer Banks.
Well, they came back. We've seen it again this year. I get calls from the CDC. Hey, you've got a voice on safety and vacation rentals. Can you help us get an alert out? There's been like 9 cases, and there has been several recently. So, and hot tub rash is real. Burns, we've seen people getting burned. Chemical burns from too much chlorine, too much bromine, too many chemicals in the hot tub because the last guest put too much in it, or the cleaner came along, didn't realize that somebody added it. So you really need to, this is something you got to have delicate focus on.
That is true. And I will say this too for property managers. So we have a hot tub company that services our hot tub. And they're excellent. They're like a company that I've known for 20 something years. They actually serviced my property when I lived here full time. And I got a rash after getting into the hot tub. And I literally texted, because we'd been friends for years. I texted and I said, look, I got a rash after being in the hot tub. You need to check the pH in here. So my husband went out and bought all this stuff for us. And I'm like, you know what? We just have to call them. Tomorrow they'll come out. But I think that we just have to be aware that even though we have professionally certified vendors,
yes,
there are times that we have to go behind them, and there should be some sort of inspection of some sort. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I can think of lots of ways to do it, but it's time and money, and I'm not going to suggest,
it is. We have to recognize no matter what you want to do, I don't care that this is your private home, you're doing a commercial enterprise.
Exactly.
You are letting in people you've never met before, you may never meet, and you certainly potentially will never meet again. It's called the general public. And they come in all sizes, weights, ethnic diversities, languages, colors, races, everything. They're coming into your house and they're not going to do anything you assume. I always laugh. I can always tell this was one vacation rental in my neighborhood, and I can always tell when the vacation renters are in because they park differently than the owner. Like the owner drives straight in. For some reason, the vacationers go either left or right, or they're parked up here, they're parked there because they just perceive the driveway completely different than what the property owner intends, and it drives him crazy. He's mentioned it to me. So I always just laugh. People perceive things differently.
No, that's for sure. One of my biggest questions this year is we had to replace the hot tub cover in the lift. And the lift that I bought a hydraulic lift and had it installed. It doesn't attach to the hot tub, so there's no screws or anything. It uses the weight of the hot tub on top of it. But how to use it, I'm thinking that I've got a video and I'm going to
Yeah.
put a QR code up and I'm like, here's your
Love
QR
it.
code for how to do it. But
Yep.
what else can I do I could also, I guess, put a sign up with the steps on it.
I love the QR code idea. I think that's pretty commonplace now. It's easy. You just upload it to Vimeo, YouTube, whatever. But the other thing that I'll add, I actually had this incident happen to me in December. I was working with a professional management company, and they had me stay at a brand new rental. I was the first one to sleep there. I was excited. The hot tub had just been delivered 2 days earlier. The water had just hit 101 degrees. Justin, you're the first one who gets to use it. Not only, I'm not a guy who likes to get into vacation rental hot tubs because I know. And so it was fresh water. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to use this one. I go out there. Someone put the steps in the wrong location and I didn't check it. So when I stepped up, stepping over into the hot tub, I actually stepped into a contoured seat. I slipped and I went down. My entire right side of my body was bruised. And of course, the operator's like, oh my God, we injured the safety guy. I'm like, that's good. I'm not filing a workman's comp or whatever. But it reminded me, and I have one on my personal hot tub now. They're $80 on Amazon. You got to have the folding handle now. It's a platform. It slides under the hot tub when it's empty. And then you have a handle so that people
It holds
get
600 pounds.
Yes.
You get the good ones, it holds 600 pounds. So yes, you know how they installed mine when I came back, when I came to my hot tub, when I came here in March to get everything ready for the season, they had installed it under the steps.
That doesn't
And I
work.
was like, what is wrong with this picture?
Yeah.
So yesterday I had them come and I was like, let me show you how this is supposed to work. It goes under the hot. I mean, this is the owner of the company. And I'm like, this is a great product. I researched all the products for it to see which one was best. That is incredible. And it's oceanfront, so it's going to rust with this season. I'll have to replace it next. But it's only like $110. But it
so
holds 600 pounds. Yeah. And it's really easy to install. And you're right, you have to have the handle.
You're climbing up 2 steps, up and over into slippery water, down. I always get into the hot tub in the morning and have a cup of coffee in my hand, and I've just set down my towels, my robes. I mean, there's a lot going on in that moment when you're doing that. So yeah, it's so important to have that reel there for. I like the idea. Yours sounds better than mine.
I love mine. I really do. I do research like you do on everything, and I'm like, let me find the most popular, then let's make sure that'll work. Let's talk about pools.
Yes.
And safety. What's the number one thing we have to know about pools and safety other than gate?
Yeah. So gates, fences. Huge believer in the water watcher card. If there's just one thing, if you're like, I'm not required by law to put in depth markers, a fence. Unfortunately, a lot of markets don't have that. I don't have to have pull arms. If there's just at least one thing you are going to do, make sure you're participating in the water watcher card. You can get those for free from the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Council on their website, but I like people to make their own. It's just a simple laminated card that goes onto a little bracelet. You leave it on the counter whenever your guests arrive, and they look at it and go, what is this? And if they don't know what it is, you've just captured 10 seconds of their attention to go, oh, this has something to do with pool safety. And at least you've put that in their mind that they need to be careful around the pool, and it costs you almost nothing. But on the other side of it, one thing that always blows my mind, and it's something that I don't think people get, is a pool safety hook is more valuable at a pool as a safety feature than a life ring is. Lynell, you and I are both healthy people. If someone's drowning in a small swimming pool in front of us, what are we going to do?
We're going to jump in. Yeah.
We're going to jump in. And by the time you get a life ring, you're throwing it at someone's drowning. It doesn't make a difference. It's the people who can't get in the pool. What if grandma's watching the kids while mom and dad are at dinner and grandma can't easily get in the pool to save the kids? That happens so many times. And we've had several saves. I've had a father call and thank me, says he gets to walk his 2-year-old down the aisle someday because I had recommended to someone to put in a pool safety hook, and they used it 2 weeks afterwards. And it was that exact situation. It was a grandma who couldn't get in the pool. She had a hip displacement problem. And
where do we get the water watcher card?
Water watcher card, U.S. Consumer Product Safety Council. You just Google water watcher card. There's a great website out there that has a lot of information. There's Facebook pages, but really easy. I think you can even go on Amazon and just order them. They're a couple bucks.
What's the number one thing that you've seen this year that surprised you as far as safety in vacation rentals?
I think that there are a lot of people who continue, and it just surprises me. They continue to think that they're insured or that they have a rental agreement, and those two things nullify any need that they have to make their property safe. You know, that yeah, I've got a walkway that isn't lit up well. I've got steps that aren't even, and it's tricky to get in and out of my bathroom shower, but I'm insured. And they have signed a rental agreement that says that they've indemnified me, so I don't worry about it. And they have no idea. Those rental agreements, especially in North Carolina after that ruling 2 years ago by your Supreme Court, I mean, those are as good as toilet paper if someone's injured or seriously killed in a vacation rental. And your insurance company doesn't want to pay out. If they can find a way to say, wait a minute, you didn't have any outside lights? Yeah, of course we're not covering that claim. So you really need to understand that you have a duty of care to make sure that your rental property is safe, irregardless of any indemnification or insurance requirements.
What educational or what resources are out there for property managers? What are you doing as far as are you doing courses live? Are you doing courses?
As a matter of fact, this is pretty cool. This is like one of my, I don't know if you know, I just got this really big award in London. I got the Shorty Award. I'm the tallest guy to ever get the Shorties Award for pioneering safety. And it's because of the safety program that I developed at Breezeway. And the safety course that we have, it's used globally. I just had somebody this morning using my inspections in Bombay, and I've had people using them in Baghdad, believe it or not. I guess they're accepting guests back there. But the safety inspections we have are used globally all over. They exceed everything, and in a short amount of time, using your cell phone, you can sit down. You can sit down on Memorial Day afternoon at 11 a.m. and be done with the course by 5 or 6. After all the parades are over. It's not that hard to do, and then you've got that commitment. Like you said, you get up to a 10% discount on insurance with Proper if you do that.
Yeah, I was telling my husband it's worth the class. And not only that, but it's something I would enjoy. So that's something I'm like, okay, I'm going to schedule that. So I appreciate the link to that. I think that's wonderful.
And I get it. Just real quick, people always say, a safety course on homeowners? I think I know that. I am genuine. Probably the greatest honor that I have in what I do, next to knowing that these saves happen, are all these people who email me going, I thought your safety course was going to be so boring. I didn't know I could learn anything. Oh my God, holy crap. I learned so much. I never thought of this. I never thought of that. Can I get a discount on a code? My husband wants to take it now too. So I have to tell you, I've tried to make it interesting.
Send me a discount code so my husband can take it too. That's that's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
I think he would love it too. I think he would enjoy it as well. I think anybody that really loves really loves hospitality, would enjoy something like that. So, what advice do you have for us specifically as to what's going on now? What do we need to think about? Is there legislation that we need to think about that's coming down the pike or?
I think there's a mixed thing going on in the country. I was just in Montana, and I do a lot of training for government. It was interesting. I was with the Montana State Code Enforcement Officer and their whole team going through safety training. And they've noticed that there's been, it's kind of the political environment here. There's been like some pullback on, we're not going to do those regs and we're not going to do those regs anymore. I don't think that's permanent. I think that's a short-term thing that's happening a little bit, where some cities and communities are saying, you know what, we're not going to require, sprinkler systems on new construction right now. That's going to come back. I think in the big picture, what you need to understand is vacation rentals are the only thing that are left that aren't regulated in travel. Cruise ships are, hotels are, motels, inns, rental cars. Everything is regulated really except for vacation rentals, and community by community that's happening, but it's going to happen at a state level more now. Because International Code, NFPA, they're rewriting and defining what short-term rentals are. So if you own a rental property right now, one of the greatest investments you can make is in the safety of it. And by making your property safe, you're going to make it much more attractive when you're in a position to sell in a few years, when those regs come into place. So it's a worthwhile investment, not just from the fact that you're keeping your guests safe and you're showing you care about them, but you're actually putting your property to a level that makes it more competitive later on, because there are going to be houses that don't meet it. And suddenly you're going to be like, wait a minute, I can't do these certain things you want me to do to make my property safe. And now there's regs, and now we're seeing that actually in the Smoky Mountains. Any of your listeners know what's been going on in Sevier County and some of the regs they're putting there. There's a lot of houses for sale there as a result. So it's important to do that now.
Wow. No, I hadn't heard that. And I usually keep up with that area. I didn't know there was something new going on safety-wise there. Tell me what's happening there.
Yeah, so over a certain occupancy, they've been putting in some very strict safety requirements, and they're literally changing them overnight at times. And so if you look, you'll see there's properties for sale that are like giving $60,000 and $80,000 seller credits. And you look at it, you go, wow, that's a great house. $80,000 seller credit. They must really want to sell it. And then you dive in and realize that if you want to continue to operate that as a vacation rental with the occupancy levels that are making it profitable, you're going to have to install a sprinkler system, and that's going to cost you $80,000. That's why they're giving a seller credit. So a lot of heavy stuff. Some of it's good stuff. Some of it, I mean, I just saw something crazy the other day where they wanted a grill 20 feet from a property. I didn't think that was necessary. So believe it or not, you can actually go safer than I think you need to. That doesn't happen often for me. But that's what's happening up there. And I'm in the user group for that on Facebook. Those owners are just like, I passed last year, and now this year they want this, and this. And it's becoming very hard.
Talk to me about grill safety. What should we know about grill safety?
Grills, especially gas grills, are extremely dangerous at a vacation rental, and you have to remember people are drinking. It's very rare that someone has not consumed some alcohol while they're operating a grill, and you can't assume that they know how to use them. You've got to have them in a safe location. I remember being in the Outer Banks a number of years ago, and the grill was chained out to a tree in the backyard, down in Kitty Hawk, and I was like, what's going on there? And it turned out they had a grill fire because someone pulled the grill underneath the rental property, and the homeowner's like, that's not happening again. They chained it out to a tree so that couldn't happen. And so you just have to remember there's a 43-page instruction book that comes with the next grill that's on sale at Home Depot and Lowe's this weekend. There's a 42-page manual that comes with the Weber grill that's on sale. The black, all of those have it. And like the first 9 pages are warnings of all these things you shouldn't do. Your guests aren't reading that, and they're drinking alcohol. So you've got to really dot your I's and cross your T's when it comes to setting those up. The video idea that you had, making sure how to use your hot tub cover, that should be there for the grill too. It doesn't take long to do that. Put a QR code on your grill that you video. This is what I want you to do. I want you to turn the gas on. I want you to do this. Don't ever use igniter stick. If the igniter stick, is needed, then call me, because I'll come put one in, or my manager, my handyman. But we don't want people lighting grills with matches and little lighter sticks. The manuals say don't do that.
That's a very good, don't light manually. That's a good one. What about bathrooms?
Bathrooms are a tough one. It's probably the one I hear the most about from lawyers. I just got an email before we connected here from a lawyer in Rhode Island. He's like, I got a client who slipped and fell in an Airbnb bathroom. Will you help me represent, and testify that this was unsafe? Well, first and foremost, I don't do that kind of work. So just so you know, I don't do expert witness work, but it's, I see a lot of them, and there's not a lot I can say. And on occasion I will call a lawyer. I'm like, you don't have a case there. There's not really safety regulations. But from an awareness point of view, we have to recognize that there's a 1 in 7,000 chance you're going to get injured in your bathroom today. That's pretty low opportunity that could happen, versus a 1 in 3 million chance you're going to get bitten by a shark taking a swim off of Ag's Head. So you're much more likely to be injured in the bathroom. Whatever you can do to keep your bathroom safe, make sure there's nothing on the floor. We learned that from the hotel industry. If you've got glass shower doors, make sure that, They're not the kind that are going to explode and break easily. We see a lot of those incidents happening. And if you can, there's no requirement, but if you can put some grab bars in there, it's always helpful for somebody that might slip in the shower.
That's great. The grab bars are really, really great advice. We just redesigned some, and they are really cool grab bars out there now. I'm just saying. They've got a lot of really cool things. What's
Make
the
sure they're
coolest?
screwed in, by the way, not the suction cup ones. I've seen so many
Right.
injuries. People trust that the suction cup one is screwed in, and it's not, and then let's go.
What's the newest tech that's happening out here in safety in vacation rental land?
Well, in addition to that, that detector that I shared with you, which is pretty exciting, there's a Minute, which is a product I love, is continuing to enhance and roll out different things. That Minute device not only can hear parties and detect people smoking in your house and sound and all that stuff, but it can actually hear your smoke alarms going off too. And I love that they're always doing work to that to improve that product. I just saw their CEO when I was over in London, and I can't tell you here on this podcast, but they've got some exciting new features coming out soon too. So I'm a huge fan of that product.
Oh, that's cool. We'll have to take a look at that. Is there anything else that you want to share with property managers?
Well, I just would encourage you to remember that the most important thing about being in the hospitality industry is that we care about our guests. The reason that we clean and make sure that these properties are welcoming to the guests is because we care about them. And we should be just as concerned about a smoke alarm operating as pillow placement. And I see so many professional managers that are driven by the things that they're going to get phone calls about if they're not correct, and not driven by the things that they're going to get the worst possible phone call about if they don't do it. Just because a guest isn't going to call you and say, I didn't know there wasn't a smoke alarm battery, doesn't mean that should be more important, to have your pillows checked instead. And so that's one of the things I'm trying to get a lot of property managers to understand. You could even say that, if the guest calls and says, these pillows are kind of dirty, can you come back over here? Yeah, absolutely. Just so you know, we were going to do that, but in fact, we noticed that all the smoke alarm batteries were missing, so we put our attention into that instead. So we're sorry about the pillows, but you're not going to die tonight.
That's true.
But that's the way we need to think.
What should we have on the second floor? Like if we have a third floor with outside balconies, what kind of safety device would you recommend in a property managed home for that second floor for them to get out?
So once you're above 20 feet, having an escape ladder is important, and they're $50.
Are there any particular ones that you think are better than others? I have one, and I just wonder.
Yeah, Werner and those ones that Werner makes them, they're on Amazon, but there's one that was on Shark Tank recently, and I really love it. I'll make sure I give you the link where it actually screws in on the fire. These firefighters invented it. It's called Rescue Ready. I think it's like rescue-ready.com. They were on Shark Tank maybe 2 years ago, but now they're in full production. And they screw in the ladder underneath the casement in your window, and you can buy a cover for it so that it doesn't look like this ugly ladder that's under there. Yeah, you have a little sign on there that says, in event of fire, remove this cover. So you pull the cover off. Now you just have to throw the ladder out the window and climb out. You don't have to go under the bed or into a closet and pull out of a bag while it's, smoke and frantic and where is everybody? This is just a quick process. So I highly recommend that. In fact, that's going back to your question from earlier, great new product that people should look at.
Well, I'll look at that. Is there anything else you want to tell property managers before we go?
It's time. It's showtime. Summer's here. If you haven't done it yet, you've got to make sure minimum, you've got to have a focus that nobody's going to die in your property this summer. And I know that sounds like, holy smokes, that's a slap across the face. But if you can't say that, there's a lot of things you got to do at your properties. But if your guests can't be alerted easily to a fire or a carbon monoxide incident in their property or leaking gas in summers here, then you need to quickly do a side trip and make sure that you do that, because that's the most important thing.
Well, congratulations on your Shorty Award. It is well deserved. And as always, I love having you on the show. It's so much information. So guys, you take something away from this. There's so much packed into this episode, but I really appreciate you coming, Justin, and making time.
I love that you give me this outlet, and I know this, I think you get this. I mean, we just saved somebody's life. I don't know who it was. We may never get a report, but that's pretty amazing that we can sit here and just our discussion today. Someone's going to take some action, and we may hear about it in 2 years. We may hear about it next week, but they're going to go, I didn't think about that. And I went and did this, and oh my gosh, thank God I did. So that's why
I'm going to go get this pull safety hook as soon as we get off this. I'm going to order that because I hadn't thought about that. And we may already have one underneath there, but I'll go check.
Close to where they'll get it. Like the reason someone's going to use it is because they're coming right out the door. Make sure it's not like on the back side of the pool and they're in a wheelchair.
Right.
Go around. So just make it easy to access.
I'll put it next to the big orange thing that we can throw in.
Yeah.
I'll put it next to that so that because that's what you're going to look for in a pool. If someone starts to drown, you're going to look for that because we've been trained to look for that in pools.
Yep.
And so I will put it next to that. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
This episode of How We Grow is brought to you by Rental Guardian. To find out more about how Rental Guardian can help grow your vacation rental business, visit rentalguardian.com. Make sure to search for How We Grow in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at Inhabit, thanks for listening.